So I want people to know, no matter what your culture is, no matter what your background is, no matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone does, no matter what anyone's doing around you, do you be true to yourself, be like to your true north, because that's the only way you can ever truly enjoy what you do.
One, two, yeah. Come on. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, sir, you are tuned in. This is for the SB1200, ASR 10s and NPC heroes. This is for the crate digging, loop getting, sound manipulators, the Fruity Loop reasoning machine innovators that pump the bass and frequently freak the kick in a stand till it slaps in your speakers. The sound providers that make sure the song is tight. Shout out to the producers, beats grinding life. Shout out to the producers, beats grinding life.
Welcome to the Beats Grinding Life podcast with your host Siren, a weekly interview podcast with inspiring music producers, where every week you will learn from a different music producer how to potentially take your music career to the next level.
Today's episode of Beats Grinding Life is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audio download and 30-day free trial at beatsbooks.com. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Some recommended readings by past Beats Grinding Life guests like 48 Laws of Power, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Secret, Tools of Titans, and The Song Machine are all available with Audible. Once again, go to beatsbooks.com to get your free book. What's up, Beat Grinders? This is another episode of Beats Grinding Life. I'm your host, Siren Beats, and with us today we have 750. 750 is a music producer, engineer, and multi-instrumentalist that is a skilled piano player and violin player. The Philadelphia native is of Indian descent and draws inspirations from a wide range of musicians, which makes his music unmatched. The business as usual in-house producer and has production credits with P.T. Starks, Quattro, D.O.E. Philly, and more to come. Yo, 750, how you doing, man?
Hey, Siren, I'm doing great, man. How's it going over there?
Oh, it's going great over here, man. I'm just feeling so blessed and so happy to finally have you up on Beats Grinding Life. I feel like it's been a long time coming. Should have had you up on here a long time ago, so thank you for agreeing to come up on the show, man.
Hey, it's an honor to be here, Siren. I mean, I've been a follower since the first episode, so when I saw your message, I definitely jumped at the opportunity.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Well, thank you, man. That's humbling to hear, man. And wow, that's awesome, man. So I mean, you're a fan of the show, and I'm a fan of yours, man. So it only makes sense, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, Beat Grinders, you guys are definitely in for a treat, man. 750. I heard his music years ago, and like I said in the intro, it's unmatched. I haven't heard anything like it then, and I still haven't heard anything since then. So, man, I'm excited for this interview. Why don't you, 750, let the Beat Grinders know a little more about you? Maybe I didn't touch on some things in the intro. Maybe you can let them know a little more about who you are.
So, Siren, like you said, I am. We met years ago at Beast of the Beats in Atlanta. Since then, it's been pretty crazy. I think a few months after that, iStandard hosted a huge charity water battle.
That's right.
Out in LA. And, it was supposed to be Shamik, the Symphony, Sick With It, a bunch of iStandard alumni versus Team Focus, which was a bunch of Interscope in-house producers, well-known producers, Warren G, Dem Joints, Focus, obviously, the Olympics. It was insane. Wow. So, I went out and flew out just to support my brother. He was in, and I'm like, you know what? I got nothing to do. So I hopped on a plane and I met up with everyone. And the following morning, the night of the battle, we had some call outs last minute. So I'm outside with Don just chopping it up in the morning. And he's like, so we have a couple call outs. So you're in tonight. And I was like, wait, what?
No pressure.
Just all right, yeah, no, just throw me in this thing. I'm not prepared at all.
Right.
So it was such an honor to share a stage with such amazing talent and people that I frankly look up to. And then I went to Beast of the Beats in LA the following year, where I was actually a finalist.
Dope.
Got to the top 12. That was an incredible time. I think Brown Royal won that one, and he was, that kid goes. It was incredible.
Right.
But most importantly, I'm just a fan of music, man. I love, just the sonics of it all, how it just makes you feel. And I got love for anyone that, is able to do what, we do.
Nice.
It's crazy. So that's what I'm about.
For sure, man. That's what's up, man. I love it, man. You're a music producer that loves, just music. And it sounds like you love, a wide range of music. I've heard you make like EDM tracks. I've heard you make trap music as well. And, so you're not just putting yourself in a box, but you're experimenting and you're trying a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to music, it's expression. I don't ever want my music to be described as one thing because, we all feel different things at different times. So,
right.
I don't want to be, pigeonholed into one category. I just want to be able to, just express what comes to mind. And if people enjoy it, then that's fantastic. And if they don't, then I hope, the next one will get their attention. And if not, then the next one will. And, it's all trial and error with this.
Yep, for sure, man. That's what's up, man. Well, if Beat Grinders, if you guys don't know, 750 is the brother of the Symphony, a great producer that's been on here before. If you guys haven't heard his episode, you guys should definitely check it out. He drops many gems. And so, we heard how he got into music production. I want to know, how did you get into music production? I figure it might be a little similar since you guys both have a background in playing instruments, but I'm sure that it might be a little different. So I'm kind of interested to hear, your story.
So me getting into music production was kind of like a detour, essentially. I, like you said earlier, I've been playing the violin and piano since I was like 8. And, that was just, I was always like a string orchestra kid, every single year. I was taught in the way of the Suzuki method, where basically like you learn to play by ear, then you learn to read the music and combine combine the two. So, I've always had an appreciation, not only just for like, music in general, but like for the stringed instruments and like the piano. So I always wanted to be like an orchestra, conductor, just like a high school teacher. And, that would have been cool with me.
Right.
But then one day I just came across, this program on the house PC that my brother and I both shared. And I'm like, what is this? It said Fruity Loops. I was like, oh, okay. So, I just see a bunch of songs that I recognize, like Just Give Me the Light, In the Club by 50 Cent. Like, I see a bunch of songs. I'm like, what's this? I'm clicking on it, and they're all remakes. And I'm finding out that my brother was remaking these beats on this PC using this program. And I'm like, yo, what is this? So, I start getting into it and just having fun. And then, one day I just had a serious conversation with my own family, and they're like, listen, in all honesty, do you think it's a feasible lifestyle? Because unfortunately, we first saw the cutting of the arts, not only in the public schools, but, in most educational, private sectors as well. So it's like, unfortunately, the job market for that was dying. And, I'm of Indian descent. So one of the values of, our culture is, being steady.
Right.
So I decided to go into school for business and combine my music knowledge that I've, accrued and continue to, learn from over the years. And, just decided I'm just going to try this and see how it goes. So I just started using Fruity Loops, trained myself, downloaded it on my PC at school. And, that's the rest, as they say, is history.
Awesome, man. That's what's up. So how old were you when you first discovered Fruity Loops on the family PC?
I think I was like either 13 or 14. So I was in 8th or 9th grade. So
Nice.
seeing that was pretty wild.
And you started taking it serious in college, you said, right?
Yeah, actually, I had a hiatus from college at one point, from 18 to 19. And basically, I started just going harder at this music thing and making more beats. And I started selling music, actually, selling my beats. And that's actually how I got my name. I got $750 first time I sold a beat. So,
nice.
So that basically was, I guess, the point at which I started to get into it heavily, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can actually sustain myself off this.
Nice.
So, Luce and PT of BAU actually were in the studio in our basement that night, and my brother told them the story, and he's like, oh shit, PG 750 over here. And I was like, wait a minute. And Luce was like, yeah, we're calling you that from now on. So years later, dropped off PG.
Nice. Well, that's cool, man. I mean, a lot of times people don't get to pick their own names. It would be nice to pick the name, but I think that's dope, man. That's a dope story, because I was gonna try to work that in there somehow. How did you end up getting the name 750? But that's a dope story right there, man. Well, that's what's up. Were you able to use your brother at all as guidance? I mean, I know that it seems like you guys are pretty close now, but when you first saw all those songs on the Fruity Loops, was he in the house at the time, or was he like off to college or anything?
Well, he was living in Philadelphia at the time. He was working for a law office, for at the time. So he wasn't in the house. So this was like after he had left. So I'm discovering all this stuff, afterwards. So when he would come home time to time, I'd be like, yo, what is this?
Right.
And then he would fill me in more, and then like show me more, and then eventually, like, I use him as much of a reference as I can. But I'll admit, in the past, I've been stubborn. I've been hard-headed. With him. He'll come in and be like, that's wrong. And I'll be like, get out of here.
Right.
But, we creatives are a sensitive bunch at the end of the day.
Yep.
So, and it, it's different. It's a different situation when it's your own family that's like, critiquing you.
Right.
And being younger, you don't necessarily appreciate that, but in retrospect, I really do.
Oh yeah.
So I do use him as a reference as much as possible. I just sent him a couple songs the other day.
Dope, man. That's awesome, man. Well, I know it sounds like he was he was somebody that inspired you growing up. Were there any other inspirations that you had? When you first started, who were you trying to make beats like? Who were you trying to sound like? And and who inspired you?
Oh man. So as you said, my brother was obviously there, but I think at that time, Timbaland and Kanye West were really like my main inspirations at the time. Pharrell came in like later than the two, which generally is backwards for most people, but I just enjoyed their music more. It was more relevant, and more in your ear at the time, because you have the radio, you have high school, you have gigantic CD Walkmans that you're shoving into your pocket, walking around with the college dropout CD in there, like so that's always been there. So those were the two that I was trying to impersonate most.
Okay.
At first, but me, like I said, being a string player, was more heavily string influenced. So like I was trying to do a combination of both, but at the time I didn't know a quarter of the things I know now. So it didn't necessarily translate well.
Well, I mean, that goes for, a lot of us. When we first start, we're trying new things, and, we're trying to sound like other people, but, we can't, because we're just starting off. But the more that you practice your craft, the easier it will come, and, the quicker you'll get to where you want to be. So, that's what's up, man. What was there, like a particular song, or was there something that made you want to look up to Pharrell and the Neptunes, or was it just a whole bunch of his music at a particular time?
So it was I knew who Pharrell was, like, because my brother was such a huge fan. I'd like to
Mm-hmm.
think that, like, you know, he liked Pharrell as much as I liked Timbaland initially.
Okay.
So basically, that being said, I think it was after I watched the 2004 Clones documentary that I really got into it.
Nice.
Because my brother kind of like just sat me down and was like, just watch this. And it was something that Chad Hugo said. He said basically, if the kick hits you in the stomach and then that snare hits you in the back of the neck, you're understanding the groove. And I was like, okay. So now that I get it, let me take a listen again and apply what I learned from this documentary to what I'm listening. And then I just understood why he is still one of like the greatest out there.
Right.
So
that's dope, man. I've never seen that documentary. That sounds like something I need to watch ASAP.
Yeah, it's pretty old. It's
Right, yeah.
From between 2002 and 2004, I would say.
Nice, but I'm sure there's still gems that still apply to this day.
Yeah, of course.
Nice, man. Okay. Well, that's what's up, man. I'm having a great time. You're having a great time. Beat Grinders, I know you guys are having a great time listening to this conversation, but we all know what time it is now. It's time for, Chad Hugo mentioned getting punched in the gut with a kick, but I'm about to punch you in the gut with a setback. And so I want to know, man, what major setback or failure have you had? What made you feel like you got punched in the gut? What made you tuck your tail? A story that you can tell us about so maybe we can avoid the pitfalls.
So I, at one point, got way too cocky. I mean, we all go through it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you've been that guy that always goes around and says, stay humble.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, dude, you've been cocky before. So whatchamacallit, I think it was an iStandard showcase. And, I had everyone out there. And, I politicked my ass off to get, 20 to 30 of my classmates to come out from Temple. I got a bunch of my BAU fam. I got a bunch of people that I know. And I go into the showcase and it was, I think, my second one. And here I am thinking, you know what? I got this. The first one I didn't go so well, but you know what? I got the second one. No, I got the advice. I did my work. I'm going to, and God, it was just awful. It was just bad. I had one song where it was just it had no structure. It literally just sounded like I took two loops, threw them against the screen, and then just added a 5-note melody to it and a pad and called it a day. It was really just, it wasn't that good. So in retrospect, but I thought it was great. So the time,
did you realize it at that moment during the showcase how bad it was?
Yeah, I realized it actually on stage, hearing the second track, and I'm just like,
that's happened to me too.
My God. Oh my God. And I'm looking at the judges, and one of them's nodding their head to be nice, the look that the look, and then the other two are just on their cell phones, and I'm just like, yep. Yeah. All right. That's pretty prophetic of how the rest of the show is going to go.
Right.
So, at the end of the night, at that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to have a couple drinks and, try and chill out.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is, I'm like, I didn't know why I was getting, this feedback that, I thought I was doing so well. And I realized at that point, pride is such an ugly thing to have, it's because it makes, when you are falsely proud, it makes that descent much harder. So, after that night, I realized that, I need to listen more. I need to have more of an open mind. I need to start, thinking more outside the box. I need to be considerate of not only, the listener, but I have to make sure that, whoever's going to listen to my music understands it. It just can't be me throwing things against the wall thinking everyone's going to like it. That's never how it is.
Right.
Yep. So realizing that has made me a much more clear-headed producer, and I'm lucky to have learned that, early on. That was 2012, I'll say.
Okay.
That, so. we're in 2018 now.
Well, I want to ask you, I mean, there's a couple things that got my attention there. You said when you make something, it can't just, you have to make something that other people are going to like. I mean, how there's a fine line there, because you have to remain yourself, and you kind of don't want to make music for other people. You want to make music for yourself, but at the same time, if you're only making it for yourself, like the whole goal is to get other people to like your music. I mean, is there like a fine, I mean, like, how do you balance that? Is there even a way to balance it, or?
In my opinion, I would say you have to pull a 50-50 with it. You have to go 50% personality and 50%, quality, because you have to understand, music and how music trends. And, it's cool to be creative, and people are creative, and creatives definitely get, that exposure. But it's like sometimes we can go way too overboard.
Right.
I've looked at some people's music sometimes that have gone overboard, and it's essentially like you load it up into a DAW and you'll see it. It's a brick. It's a brick of sound. There's no space. There's no breathing room. There's no, feel to it, and everything's just maxed out. That's what I'm talking about by, like, filling everything in and not being considerate of the listener. Because not everyone has to like your music, and nor should that be your intention. Your intention should be to make it, comprehensive to someone else. Someone should be able to comprehend it,
I got you. That definitely clears it up. I definitely understand that. That's what's up. What was the other thing? The other thing was pride. I mean, I think there has to be a balance with that too. You definitely need to have pride in yourself. You definitely have to carry confidence with yourself. Or else you're not going to make it far in the music industry. But like you said, false pride, is where you can definitely get caught up. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, man. I think that you can be confident but not cocky.
Right.
And so yeah, thank you for sharing that, man. It made me smile, unfortunately, when you said that, because I had a moment like that as well. In a beat competition. I think it was Theory Has It was in there, a past guest, and he's a iStandard alumni as well, and I was for sure I won, and I had a bunch of people there, cheer me on, and he won. I came in second by 1 point, but that definitely humbled me. I was definitely feeling myself at that moment, and it definitely made me take a step back. So I definitely understand, where you're coming from with that. But all right, man. Well, we can hop to the other side of the fence, man. I want to know, what is the greatest achievement that you've had in your career?
So far, I think it would be my first placement. It was with P.T. Starks. We did a song called King, and from the beginning, I knew it was something cool. I was like, this is good. This is something like, that is pretty original, but it mixes in the mainstream pretty well, but it's with an in-house artist. It's with someone that I not only trust, but I've seen like grow. I know what he's capable of, and I know what kind of song would make him shine.
Right.
So when creating this, I sent it off to him. We recorded it, and see, at that point, I knew that it was special because we sent it off to Matt Weiss, who is, as you may know, a phenomenal, fantastic, spectacular engineer. Like, there are not a shortage of words to describe how good he really is.
Right.
And like when he mixed it down, it just brought it to a whole nother level.
Nice.
So a few months later, he actually contacted me and goes, "Hey, listen, I want to use this as part of one of my tutorial videos." And I was like, okay, this might be onto something. So after a while, it died down, but then out of nowhere, it was literally like a rainy day, like metaphorically speaking, like things weren't really necessarily going right at that point. Okay. And out of nowhere, I just get a call saying, "Hey, you're going to have a song on TV." I was like, "What? Wait, what now?" So I was, and you have a check coming your way. I was like, "Oh, all right, cool. All right, great." He's like, yeah, just send me all the information. And that was my the greatest achievement I think, in my opinion, so far in my career, because, that was with my team.
Right.
That was with, that wasn't anyone else. That
Right.
wasn't, no big label had their hand in it. No like agency had their hand in it. It was strictly from, within. So it was much more organic. That's why it felt a lot more special.
That's dope.
As opposed to like forced.
Right. That's dope right there, man. You said the song is called King.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It actually it was on a TV show called Rogue. It's funny because I'm personality wise, I'm like a pretty relaxed person, and the song is pretty intense, and it just comes on during like a real like badass shooting scene, and I'm just like, oh my god. Like, all right, so this is what people are gonna know me for. Cool.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, you beat grinders, you guys check that song out. And if you haven't heard PT Starks, definitely check him out. He's been mentioned on the show plenty of times from our other guests. So go check out PT Starks King, produced by 750. That's what's up, man. And you said Matt Weiss did a tutorial on it as well of how he mixed it.
Yeah, I think it was like one of his first ones too.
Okay, I'm definitely. You guys check that out as well. Matt Weiss has been mentioned on here a bunch of times as well, just because he's such a great engineer, and I'm sure that you guys could probably get some gems from him on how to mix your beats and vocals as well. So, wow, man, that sounds definitely like a great moment in your career, in your life as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It truly was.
Okay, I mean, I can just imagine turning on the TV and hearing hearing your song or hearing my song, especially on a scene like that, man. I mean, I'm sure it made you feel like a badass.
Yeah, it kind of did. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It kind of did.
Nice, man. That's where you definitely get that confidence, but not the cockiness. So.
Exactly.
All right, man. Well, here on Beats Grinding Life, man, we're always striving to be great. And you, 750, you're working your way there if you're not there already. And so I want to know, what do you do in a typical day? So maybe that way I can take from you and try to structure my day for greatness.
Okay. Well, I mean, my day starts off as any other human being. I wake up, I shower, let me do the eat, workout, shower whole deal. And then for like the first hour of the day, I just go through my email. I organize everything. I try and make sure that everything is handled, not only from a business sense, but like from a personal sense. I want to make sure that, all loose ends are tied up, if any. And then for the next couple of hours, I try and just like make sure that anything that was worked on previously has either been completed or mixed. Nice. I don't like to start anything new until something is finished before.
Nice.
So I that's how I kind of have my warm up, and then I go into the creation process, in which I just take a couple hours and just figure out what kind of song needs to come out. So I just play with chords, I play with sounds, drums, just get everything ready, and I just start flowing, just going drum by instrument, and just whatever comes next naturally I just do. Okay. So that's like a bit of my creative process. And then to wind down the day, I just make sure to send out anything that was completed that I think any artist would sound good on to them directly, and make sure that they have that in hand. I send them a text message right after and say, hey, listen, check your email, get back to me within a couple of days, see if you have anything for it. Generally, especially with my guys, BAU, like I'm close working with a DS Quattro, and on his project, Two for the Money, where I have most of the production on his upcoming extended project called Anthem. So he has such a quick, and that's because he has such a quick turnaround time. And it's never bad, and it's never whack, and it never comes in correct.
Nice.
So it always matches, and that's why I like working with him, because it's so quick. So I send him a couple. I send it to a few other artists, and that's how I just wind down my day. I close down my day at 5 p.m. because it's like Illmind. I was talking to him a while back. It was like a few years back, and we are just chopping it up at like on the street, and he goes, "Yeah, like you should never try and conduct business after like 5."
Wow.
who conduct, like, because nobody does that.
Right.
Nobody is up conducting business past 5 p.m. unless like it's something else, because that's when everyone's working. That's when everyone is most attentive. That's when you want to make sure that you are working. That's when you want to make sure you are most attentive.
Wow.
So that's always kind of stuck with
Great
me.
advice. Yeah, for sure, man. That's what's up.
And it gives your brain like a nice relaxing time. You can always get inspired and you go to your phone and just lay down an audio recording and get on it tomorrow, but you have to also make sure that there's some balance in your life,
Yeah, for sure. So are you just done with business at 5 p.m. or you're done with everything music wise at 5 p.m.? Like
I'm
the
done
creative
business.
process? Okay. You're still creating after 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, creativity never really like ends. So like you go with the creative process as long as you want, but like your business sense should end around 5 p.m. Like that's in my opinion.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Wow, that sounds like a great day right there. I mean, wake up, and you're on your craft, you're on your business, and for the whole day. That's what's up, man. I hope I can get there at one point. I do work a 9 to 5, but that.
Hey, so do I. I'm a student as well, my friend. I'm a student, and I work weekends now because I wanted to focus more on this music stuff, because school and music right now are my priority.
Right.
So work right now, like, that can take a back burner.
Yeah. Well, that's what's up. I mean, so what does a typical day look like for you when you're in school? I mean, are you taking online classes, or are you actually going in the classroom?
I actually go to Temple University. So I hop in the car, just commute over there, have a couple. I only take like a couple classes at a time. That's why it's taken so long. But
as long as it's getting done, man.
As long as it's getting done, exactly. So I take a couple classes at a time, and so I can fit it around with my music, with my business, with everything included. So it's not intrusive; it's more of a pleasure,
Right. That's what's up, man. All right, well, go fighting owls. That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, this next portion of the interview we like to call In the Studio. I would love to be there in Philly with you making beats. All the beat grinders would love to be there with you, but we just can't make that happen right now. One day, hopefully. But the next best thing is this portion where we find out how you make beats, what you make beats with. And so you ready?
Sure.
All right, man. So what do you do when you first start crafting beats? Do you have a set ritual at all?
So I just honestly sit down. I throw on an always sunny in Philadelphia episode, excuse me, and just put it on low. And I just like just chuckle a tiny bit, try to get my vibe like good.
Right.
And because I feel like my music the best music that I've made comes from when I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
So just get yourself in the mood. Do whatever you would do to make yourself happy, or get yourself in the mindset.
Right.
And then I generally just pull up Logic, and I will first go to my drums, like, predominantly, and I'll lay down like the kick. I'll like mess with different tempos, and I'll lay down the kick and snare first, like those patterns. And then I'll actually switch to like a melody type sound, like maybe just like a key or a bell, or like something, a plucky synth, something just to like try and like play with, the different melodies that you could go with, the drum pattern. And then that's where I start building from. That's like, I expand from there. That's where the hats come in. That's when the 808s come in. That's when the lead and the bass and the pads and all that stuff comes in. And then I just organize it. And after I'm done organizing, I take a look at the song as a whole. and I see where I can put in, either melodic or drum fills that would make sense. And then I start taking things away. That's actually a piece of advice my brother gave me. He goes, whatever you're going to do, put it on the screen and, set it to however long you want. But then from there, just start taking away things, find the groove, and that's been like the mantra since, for the past few years now, actually.
Dope. Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's tight. You can always take stuff away. It just because you put it in there doesn't mean it has to be there forever. But if you're feeling inspired to throw something, a melody or some chords down or whatever, definitely do it. That's what's up, man. That sounds like a pretty good process right there. I love the Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Laughing is therapeutic, man. It works in so many different ways, and so to set the mood, I think that's great right there, man. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to get yourself in the mindset.
Yeah, exactly, man. All right, man. Well, what's a not so secret weapon that you have in the studio?
Everyone I've heard on this show says Omnisphere, and I'm so sick and tired of that. It's like going to an eye theater and hearing the judge say your music sounds good for TV and beats, or for TV and movies. But I would say my favorite thing to have is battery. Battery 4 is my favorite plugin.
Nice.
Just because of the way you can manipulate the drums, it's so much better than the third one, in my opinion. But Battery 4 is my not so secret that I have, because that's where, you can get into a lot of messing with the WAV file itself. Right. So
dope. Well, yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you for mentioning something on here that hasn't been mentioned before, man. No one has ever used battery, or no one has ever said battery. I don't really see too many people use it, but I do know the power of battery. I know I've seen Illmind use it. But man, I have Battery 4, and I've experimented with it a little bit. I like the feel of pads and just banging on pads. So I use the machine, but maybe I should give battery a try again.
Yeah, batteries, I use a machine as well, but I've always been more attuned to a keyboard. So having that, being able to see where all the keys are and being able to just visualize it as you're playing helps tremendously. Right. Me personally,
nice. Okay, that's what's up, man. Well, thank you for that. All right, man. Well, I want to know what else do you have in the studio, and what software and what hardware do you have in your studio? What's all in your toolbox at the moment?
So right now, I use a very stripped down setup. Excuse me. I have a pair of Yamaha HS5s. Okay. I use an Axiom 45 M audio keyboard. Nice. Like I said earlier, I have a Machine Mark II, and I'm using Logic. So, within Logic, I'm able to obviously pull up all the, VSTs that I could want, and I'm running that off my MacBook Pro. Dope. So, and that's about it. Like I said, very stripped down, very not necessarily like I have X amount of synthesizers. You can you can make sense.
Well, man. Well, I mean, apparently very effective. Whatever you're using. So, and it just goes to show, you don't need to have much, to make dope beats. And man, so that's what's up, Beat Grinders. If there's anything that 750 mentioned that you guys are interested in, definitely go to beatsgrindinglife.com under 750 show notes, and you can definitely find links there. So, all right, man, this next portion is called In the Mix. We're just going to speed things up. It's kind of like rapid fire. I'm going to ask you some questions, quick questions. You reply with quick answers, but if you need to take your time, man, we definitely understand. So, and we encourage it as well. So, you ready to go? Mm-hmm. All right, man. Do you prefer making beats with samples or without?
I prefer making beats without samples. I respect anyone that is a sample producer. I do it from time to time, but I like playing out my melodies too much.
Right.
So I kind of I enjoy that aspect of the creation process, like the figuring out aspect of it, because with samples, yes, there's a figuring out aspect, but like I feel like with the sample, one has a bit of an easier time finding direction, but not production. So if you know the verbiage there, I'm not trying to knock any sample producer, because like I said, immense respect to each and every one of them.
Right.
I personally just like playing everything out.
I got you. That's what's up. So when you do sample, where do you sample from? What do you sample?
So I've been known to sample a lot of ethnic Indian-esque Bollywood music. Lately, I've been just using EDM samples as well.
Okay.
I think my last Beast of the Beats competition, I featured a couple EDM heavy trap records where I just basically took vocals from some songs that my old roommate used to, DJ, like when he would wake us up at like 9 in the morning. So most of my knowledge comes from there sample wise, and then predominantly in the Indian music. I don't have much knowledge about soulful music like from the 70s and 60s, 70s, 80s era. So unfortunately, my knowledge of that isn't as adept as most other producers.
Right.
So I try to cater to what I know.
Okay, that's what's up, man. What's your opinion on selling and leasing beats online? That says it all.
All right. Okay. All right. So let's get into this for a second, shall we? All right. If you are a producer that sells like 1 million beats for $10, I will outright say this: stop.
Nice.
Please stop. I don't know. I think the music production mafia needs to come over to where you are and repeatedly stomp you in the genitalia area. I don't know what has to happen, but you need to stop, because you're ruining it. You're ruining the landscape. You're also not valuing your work. One thing I've always been told as, not only a producer, but someone that prices my own beats, that, sells music. I was always told to value yourself. Right. What do you think you're worth? And at the same time, be considerate of the budget. Understand that, your artist does have a budget. He's not going to have, thousands of dollars to make your, meet your demands.
Right.
But, it's okay to be flexible, but never devalue yourself. That's my take on selling and leasing beats online. Don't devalue yourself. You're ruining it for everyone else when you do.
For sure, man. For sure. I mean, there needs to be some kind of guidelines, or there needs to be some kind of police or some authority to keep people from doing this. But there isn't, unfortunately. So
there really needs to be some sort of checks and balances in the music industry to make sure that this type of stuff doesn't happen, because it's essentially we're in America. One thing we don't do is we try not to monopolize, because competition breeds more competition, and that's how an industry survives.
Right.
You have to, as a producer, think of this as a business as well. So that's one of the biggest things in business.
For sure, man. For sure. Well, yeah. Well, thank you for expressing your opinion on that, man. For sure. Hopefully, if there are any producers listening that do lease beats, or that or sell beats online, I just hope that you guys are taking 750's advice and definitely value yourself. Set your price at where you think what you're worth. For sure. And if you think you're worth a quick buck, then I guess go ahead and sell 10 beats for whatever, for $1. So, but all right. What's a plugin that every producer should have in their arsenal?
A plugin that every producer should have in their arsenal: Contact.
Nice.
Because there is just so many libraries out there, and all of these libraries are full of such amazing sounds that not only can you manipulate, but it definitely helps a producer's sound selection. producers, we hear a lot of the time, work on your sound selection, not only from our peers, but from our idols, and not only from our idols, but from our artists or clients.
Right.
So having contact and being able to have access to all those sounds is truly a help.
Dope, man. Dope. What's one of your favorite libraries?
My favorite library, oh man. Okay. So my favorite library, I'll mention my top 3.
Oh, nice.
I'll give you guys Exhale is one of my favorites.
Nice.
Ethno World 5 is my biggest secret weapon that I've had for the past 6 years.
Wow.
So Ethno World 5 is incredible. And then you know what? I'm going to go with a pretty generic one, but it's very useful. The Maybach Kings one. The Maybach Kings
Nice.
plugin is very useful for that trap feel, but
Right.
that feel specifically, not necessarily saying you have to use it for trap music, but
Right.
if you need that grit to it, that's always good to have.
Dope, man. Well, thank you for sharing those. I'm definitely gonna. 2 of those I don't have, and so I will definitely check. Actually, all 3 of them. I'm familiar with that with XL by Output, and that's one that I definitely need to get. Everyone speaks so highly of it, but I'm definitely gonna check out all 3 beat grinders. If you guys don't have them, or if you guys haven't heard of them, just do some research and. Definitely go cop him. I mean, it's helping 750. He's making some bangers out here, and so we can't let him surpass us like that. We gotta build up to where he's at. So
Look, I consider myself on the same level as everyone else, man. There's no ahead, or I think everyone should have all their sounds. They should create sounds. They should have, everyone should be, if you want, to be on an equal playing field, because that's how the best music is made.
Right, for sure, man, for sure. Well, when I heard your beats, man, I can definitely say that that you're a lot further than I am, for sure. So
Stop.
All right, man. Well, what's a book that you think every producer should read? And it doesn't have to be music related.
Yeah, it's not going to be music related at all.
Okay.
So it's actually a book I picked up a few years ago. It's called the Tao Te Ching of Lao Tzu. Yeah. So it's about Taoism and Buddhism, and basically gives you teachings on proper spirituality and how how to tap into that aspect of yourself. Because I feel like when you come at music from a serene state of mind, you're able to just find that you're creating something not only that's highly original, but something that's special. So that's nice. The book that I recommend to everyone. It'll get you there.
Thank you, man. Well, what's one thing that you've taken from that book that you've applied out of that book that has just boosted maybe your game in the studio and or outside of the studio?
One of the lessons I've learned from this book specifically is just one of the lines that I've always remembered was revere calamity as you revere your own body, be apprehensive about favor or disgrace, which means always, from the interpretation, which was always be sure to look inwards and do not judge yourself by the other vocalizations of the minority. So basically, that was one of the lessons that I took from that book, and it keeps me pretty sane.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Is that something that you just read just now, or is that something that you memorized and you tell yourself like an affirmation?
It's basically in my notes every day. It picks up. It just comes up on my alarm when I wake up.
That's awesome, man. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Well, Beat Grinders, if you guys find this book of any interest, definitely go check it out. I will have a link and 750 show notes on the website. So definitely go check it out. And also, if you guys are interested in picking up a free audiobook, you guys can definitely do that now through audible.com on beatsbooks.com. So you guys go claim your free book at beatsbooks.com. All right, man. Well, what's an internet resource that you use that you think every producer could benefit from? And when I say internet resource, I mean a website or a mobile app. For example, many people have said YouTube on here, Evernote as well, for scheduling. So do you have a app or website?
Website that I frequent is reddit.com / we are the music makers. It's a Reddit subreddit for all producers like that, subscribe to Reddit and whatnot. And they just have such a vast knowledge of just everything from like whatever you'd want to know. And you can always ask too. People are very responsive on there. And as long as you're not a jerk, people are going to be positively responsive towards you.
Right.
Just don't go spamming and adding, putting an ad up there, because people will consider you said jerk from earlier.
Right. Well, that's what's up, man. I'm definitely going to check that out tonight. Another guest, I can't remember who, mentioned Reddit as well. And just for some reason, I think it was Milano Keys. But for some reason, I just never really got into Reddit, and I never really considered Reddit when getting information about music production. But it seems like it's something that I definitely need to tap into. So thank you for that.
There's a lot of information on there, man. Like, definitely look at it. You can even just, you can find literally anything on there.
Dope. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
All right. What was your first placement that you had? I think you already mentioned it, but if you can just, again, just describe the feeling that it gave you, because, there's guys listening that they want that first placement, and maybe you describing how you felt and what it took to get it will inspire them to go out and grab that.
So the first words I said when I got that check was, wow, this is worth it. As shallow as that sounds, as shallow as that sounds, I mean, it was basically like a wake-up call. Like, people can have a profession doing this. The thing is, you just have to make sure to be consistent. You have to be, you have to constantly be at this. You have to, and unfortunately, I'm ashamed to say I haven't been as much as I should be. But that's because of finals.
Everything shuts down that week.
Finals, man. Come on.
Right.
But when it comes to this, it's just like, I mean, I don't know. It's the feeling that I got. I was incredibly happy. I relieved, inspired, and reassured. I think those are the best 4 words I can use to describe how I felt at the time, because it was definitely reassuring that this does have a future in it.
That's awesome, man. Well, Beat Grinders, you guys, he said the first words when he got that check is, this is worth it. If you guys are plugging away and you just don't see any results, just remember that, that it definitely is worth it. You just have to keep going hard. And that's what's up, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's something that we have to remember. Everyone has to remember, is this is worth it. If it's a dream, if it's a goal of yours, definitely have to keep those words in your head. So thank you for that, man. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, man. Well, what's a song? What's your favorite song that you ever produced?
Oh God. You're going to make me do this, aren't you?
Of course.
I will say, and you know what? There are, aside from King, because I have to say that's one of my favorites because it was my first placement. One of my old favorites is this song I did with Doughboy Philly. It's called Dreamer. Actually features production from JFK as well, who actually recently got a Nicki Minaj placement. So congrats to JFK. Shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out JFK.
And shout out to Doughboy Philly, who also just dropped his project, The Gift, which truly is a gift to hip-hop. If you haven't heard it, do it, or else you're not a hip-hop fan. I said it.
I got to do it tonight then.
I got to get my plugs in too,
Yeah, definitely. Keep doing it, man. Plug away.
But that, and then I just finished a song recently with another BAU artist, D.S. Quattro. And we finished a song called You Already Know. And the reason why I love that song is because it's one of the more intense songs that I've done. And it's like, if you're about to go into a game, if you're about to go into a competition, if you're about to go into like a get hype serious situation, that's the song you play.
Dope.
Like those are like my two top favorites that I've ever.
That's what's up, man. I have a feeling that when you go into the studio and when you make beats, man, you just turn into someone else, because you said that you're such a calm and serene type of guy, but you're making all this hardcore, intense music.
Yeah, it's called controlled insanity. Is what I like to call it.
Nice. I mean, you're making music for shooting scenes. You're making music for getting hype and getting into. So I mean, but that's what's up, man. That's cool that you're able to tap every avenue.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, speaking, what's an album besides one that you worked on that you recommend every producer listen to, and why?
That I worked on.
Besides one that you worked on. One that you haven't worked on. Yeah.
I actually wrote this down in my notes the other day. Give me 1 second, because it was Cripes. Where was it? I think I mentioned it before. Actually, no, I didn't. It's actually by Mystery Skulls. He's this dude that is a electronic producer, and he has some corny stuff on there, but then he has some amazing stuff on there, like most artists do. Like he's not the only one that has corny. Like a lot of artists do, and
right.
sometimes it's because they have to. But the album is called Forever, and there are some lessons in there for producers that they can definitely learn from, especially like on pacing a song, and spacing, especially pacing and spacing. The reason why I say that is because he also sings on top of his music, and he can understand a song from a songwriter's perspective. So being able to do that and being able to study that, I think, is a necessity for all producers, because all of us, like I said earlier, get so hyped into the creation process, we forget that we have to keep pockets and gaps for, the other half sometimes.
Right. That's awesome, man. Well, I've never heard of him before. But I'm definitely going to look into it. And I'm definitely going to check it out. Beat Grinders, you guys definitely do the same. I will provide a link on 750 show notes. You guys check it out. And that's what's up. I mean, your brother introduced me to another EDM artist or producer, that
Chrome Sparks.
Yep.
That's the one he always goes to.
Yep, Chrome Sparks and Flume.
Flume, yeah. And in the past couple of years, what's happened? He's popped, right?
yeah, he has, and I'm a huge fan of his now. So that's what's up, man. Well, thank you. What his name one more time?
Mystery Skulls.
Okay, for sure. Well, thank you for that, man. I'm always interested in hearing new music, so I'm sure I'll definitely learn something from him. So thank you, appreciate that. All right, man. Well, now's the time where I hand you a hammer and I hand you a pick. And I'm going to take you to Mount Rushmore, and we are going to carve 4 new faces into Mount Rushmore. I want to know what 4 producers are going up on your Mount Rushmore.
What 4 producers are going up on my Mount Rushmore?
Yes.
That is tough, because I can say a bunch of my peers and I could say a bunch of my idols, but for this, I'm going to mix it up.
Dope.
I'm going to start with my brother, because obviously, I'm not trying to be biased here, but I know what he's capable of. Right. I know what he's done. Most of the world, like most of us listeners have known what he's done. He's fantastic and well-versed. Illmind, because he introduced a new way to look at, boom bap and trap music in his boom trap, subgenre, which has revolutionized, producers' sound since then. Yep. You hear in a lot of competitions now that type of vibe. It's because, he basically, showed us how to do it.
Right. Yep.
Yep. So that's number 2. Number 3, I'm going to put Timbaland up there.
Nice.
You know, percussion extraordinaire. He teaches us, not only how to, make a groove, but, how to capitalize on it with, melodies. And then you have the 4th guy, who I will say is Sound Junkie of the Ratchet Gods. You know what? If I could combine them into a 3-headed Hydra, all 3 of them, Junkie, Kane, and JFK, I would put them in that last spot together.
Nice.
Because that's they're gonna, oh God, they have a bright future. They definitely have a bright future.
That's what's up, man. That is a Mount Rushmore that I've never heard before. But that is a Mount Rushmore that I can definitely see all of those people being up there. And if most people can't see some of those people being up there now, they definitely will later on, because all those people are beasts. And all those people are, if they haven't already, are going to make a huge dent in the music industry. And so I respect you for putting all those people up there. You got your brother, the Symphony. You got Timbaland. You got Ratchet Gods up there. And you also got, oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Who was the last one?
Oh God, Illmind.
Illmind as well. Yeah. So wow, that's awesome right there, man. Your brother did say that he is the unofficial 4th member of the Ratchet Gods. So, so it only makes sense that you put Ratchet Gods up there.
If I could get into a story from when they were here, I'm not gonna get into it, but let's just say the stories of JFK and his Instagram, very reflective of him in real life. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So. I figured as much so. I figured it wasn't just all an act, No.
No. Those guys are 100% real, and I love them for it.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Okay. All right, man. Well, I want to know, what's a perfect studio session to you? Imagine that you just woke up from a dream, and in that dream you had one artist, one co-producer to go along with yourself, one engineer, and one random person. Who are those 4 people going to be in the studio with you?
Okay, so artist, Justin Timberlake. Producer, nice. Timbaland. Engineer, Matt Weiss. Random person, my old roommate, Akil.
Dope. Wow, man. I think you've thought about this.
my brother's going to be in there because...
Right. Just because.
Just because. Yeah. So that's a given. Mm-hmm. That's like any rule breaker. I don't care. He's coming with me if that situation ever happened.
Right.
But, right off the bat, those 4, without that being said, yeah, that would be a perfect studio session.
Yeah, that's dope right there, man. Wow. Man, just Justin Timberlake and Timbaland, they have a history that we all know about, And
exactly.
Your music paired with Timbaland's, I think, would go so well together. I think you already kind of have that. You already have a bounce, kind of like his, but you have a totally different style than his, so I can see it working out, man. Then Matt Weiss, he's a beast. He's a beast from what I've heard, and so
yeah.
And your roommate, has he been in other sessions with you before?
So Akil is actually not only a producer, but he's a DJ as well. He actually used to intern out in LA, and he used to be in an intern in big sessions. He was telling me a couple stories about him being in the same session, I think, is Chris Brown and
wow.
a few other things. But the reason why I would select Akil is because he knows what it's like to be in that situation. So he wouldn't impede it in any way. If anything, he would contribute and in a very subtle way where it wouldn't be obtrusive. And because that's the type of personality he is. Mm-hmm. And so he's a good energy to have. That's someone I would have in the studio with me.
That's what's up, man. Well, that sounds like a perfect session, man. And it's not too far-fetched, man. If you keep grinding, I'm sure you can make that happen. And, yeah.
Hey, it's in the universe now, right?
Exactly, man. Exactly. So that's what's up, man. All right, well, we're gonna get a little weird here, man.
Okay.
This question is very, very weird, but I love
Bring
to
it.
hear what. All right, I'm gonna stop talking. If you woke up and you lost everything that you had except for your knowledge and $1,000, and when I say everything, I mean everything. Your music equipment, your contacts, you have nada. What would you do in the next week to restart your career?
All right. So first and foremost, MacBook Pro, aftermarket, Craigslist, probably $300 to $400 right there.
Nice.
MIDI controller, 100 right there. So that's we're at 5. Pair of monitors, we can get a cheap pair for like 100, so 6. Interface, get a cheap interface, so call it 650. And then we have 350 left. So what I'm going to do with that 350 is invest in a a plane ticket and just go and call. Oh wait, I have no contacts. So that plane ticket's out the window. So I'd use the rest 350 just to stock up on sounds.
Nice.
And maybe like a cork board.
And a what? What was the last name?
And like a cork whiteboard.
Oh, nice.
Just to
there
write
you go.
things.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
markers.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Maybe one of those inspirational posters. Maybe if the budget allows.
Wow, man. Well, I love that answer. You priced everything out. That's a plus right there. Not only that, but you said the whiteboard. No one has ever mentioned the whiteboard. We always talk about how important it is to have a whiteboard in your studio, but for this answer, no one has ever mentioned it. That's what's up. And you said that you listened to this show plenty of times, so the reason why I asked this. Is that if someone, because
it can happen.
It can happen. As far-fetched as it sounds, it can happen. So, well, thank you, man. That's what's up. You knocked that one out the park. You killed it, man. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
And Beat Grinders, if you guys are looking to get into music production, you could definitely use 750's answer as a guide on how to get going. So. All right, man. Well, when it's all said and done and, when this music thing is over with, I'm sure it's not ever going to be over with because you have a passion for music. But, when it is all over, what do you want your legacy to be and what does legacy mean to you? So
legacy means a lot to me, but my whole thing is I don't want fame. I don't want the attention. I don't want the stress that goes with it. I think it's a bunch of it's cool to, have attention and whatnot, but like it's not necessary.
Right.
One thing that I want to make sure that everyone understands when I, leave whatever is that, I wasn't supposed to be a music producer. I know that for a fact. But I am. That's like the one thing I want people to remember, because it doesn't matter what people say you're supposed to be. It matters what you want to be.
Nice.
And as long as you go along the route that you want to be, you're doing you. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Nice. I love that answer, man. But I'm a little confused. Why aren't you supposed to be a music producer?
I mean, you look at people of my culture. Generally, you think scientist, doctor, lawyer, engineer, etc.
Right.
Gas station clerk in some cases, Dunkin' Donuts.
How do we go? How do we go from doctor, lawyer?
Look, I'm saying it all, man. I'm saying it all, and everything in between. Like, I flip cell phones.
Producer. Right?
Yeah, right. You don't see it as much.
Right. You're right.
So
you're definitely right.
I want people to know, no matter what your culture is, no matter what your background is, no matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone does, no matter what anyone's doing around you, do you be true to yourself. Be like to your true north, because that's the only way you can ever truly enjoy what you do.
Nice. I love it, man. I love it. I have a smile on my face right now. Man, that's so inspirational, and it just leads to the next question, man. I'm going to put the pressure on you because you just gave, some great advice right there, but now I'm going to ask you to give even more advice. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received coming up in this game, and what advice would you have for all the producers listening?
The best advice I've ever received was, that's a tough one. You're right. That was a tough one. I thought I had that one. I don't. You know what? It's simple. It's going to sound generic. It's going to sound cheesy, but it really is true. It's do your best at whatever you do. Never, like, if you're doing anything but your best, you're cheating yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot, and as a result, you have no one else to blame but yourself. Understand that accountability and take responsibility of that, and take pride in that responsibility.
All right.
That's in my opinion how you make yourself. That's how you build yourself. And that's something that was told to me. The basic version, what I said earlier. And I think the advice that I would give to all producers listening is just continue doing everything and anything under the sun. Just enjoy what you're doing. Have fun. Make different sounds. Make some weird stuff. Make stuff that people aren't going to like, in fact. Because when you do that, you start setting yourself a gauge. Like you give yourself a gauge on where you are and where you need to be. So make a bunch of stuff. Throw it all against the wall, because listen, even the whack stuff might stick. Right. Like there's music in the past that definitely supports that statement.
Yeah.
And we all have different opinions about that music, but there's definitely been some in the past that definitely, backs that.
Right. That's for sure, man. Well, I mean, we've just come full circle. In the beginning we talked about making music for yourself and not making music for others, but here we're saying make stuff that that people aren't going to like,
Yep.
That way it can help you later on make music that people will like. You just have to know and scale back and move forward with it until you get it right. So
exactly.
That's what's up, man. I love that piece of advice. And then the other one that you said was cheesy, but it really isn't. Just do well at everything. I literally had a conversation about this yesterday. I was talking to someone, about, I was saying I go hard at my 9 to 5, because Keyshawn, past Beats Grinding Life guest, was saying you got to go hard at everything. How are you going to be lazy at school and then try to turn it on and go 100 when you get into the studio? It just doesn't work that way. It's all a mindset, and you have to do your best at everything, and so I thank you for sharing that. It's just, man, not too many people think that way. So man, thank you for that. Really appreciate that. I can tell where your mindset is, and I can tell that you're going to be successful at whatever you pursue in life, man.
I appreciate that, Siren. I really do. We're all just trying to get to the next level and the next stage. And this is this Beats Grind Life podcast is such a great platform for everyone, just to not only get ideas, tips, hints, tricks, but also motivation. I mean, you do a great service not only for established producers, but up and coming producers, and if anything, we should thank you.
Wow, thank you, man. I really, really, really do appreciate it. I mean, I got to say, I was being selfish when I made this. I made it because I'm somewhat of an introvert. And, I was like, man, how can I talk to other producers? And I figured this was the way. And, and just hearing that from you, just knowing that, hey, it's not for me, it's for everyone else. I'm sharing this now. It means a lot. So thank you for that, man.
Of course.
All right, man. Well, I want to know, if you have any more words for the listeners, if you want to tell them what you're working on, what they should be listening out for, how to contact you if you want to be contacted, man, please let them know.
So we'll start with my contact. If you want to reach out to me, I'm on Instagram at 750 of BAU. I'm on Twitter at BAU750. And if you need to contact me via email, or if you have any questions or anything you want to ask, or if you want to buy beats or anything, BAU750 at gmail.com. Now, let's see. I guess one thing I should mention is under BAU, we do have our three main artists, Doughboy Philly, PT Starks, and DS Quattro. All three have music out right now that people should be hearing for and listening to. Doughboy just dropped The Gift that came out within the past couple months, which features production from the Ratchet Gods, the Olympics, and so many others, himself and Doughboy included. DS has Anthem coming out featuring iStandard alumni AA, Sound Junkie, myself, and a few others, and Nook Beats, of course. He's on not only D.O.E.'s project, but DS's project, and PT's project.
Nice.
So, and PT also has Hennessy Nights out. It came out within the past year, but it is still one of the strongest albums I've heard in a while. Wow. So make sure to get those. You want to see any more information about those three artists, visit BAUENT.com. But yeah, that's about it. My brother just dropped a sound pack with a guitarist named Todd Pritch. So make sure to cop that. It's called Aura. It's really dope. Ideas are, and the guitar and like it's crazy. Like the effects, everything that was built into that project, it truly makes it a complete sound kit that is necessary for everyone, in my opinion.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, man. Well, definitely be on the lookout for all of those. I'm about to get on Apple Music in just a few minutes and get everything that you just mentioned. And I need to go ahead and get that Symphony sound pack.
Yeah.
It's definitely something I need to do. Maybe a Christmas gift, but for sure, man.
You should do it.
Yeah, I will, man. I will. So thank you, man. That's what's up. Beat Grinders, definitely connect with 750 and let them know, just what you felt about this interview. If you guys got some good vibes off of it, if you learned anything, if you found it informative, please let him know. Let me know as well. You can always hit me up on Instagram or any other platform, SoundCloud or Facebook, whatever. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Beats Grinding Life. And you guys know how it goes down. You've been mentored by another dope producer. This time you've been mentored by 750. You guys keep grinding, keep making beats, keep living life. All right, peace, y'all.
Peace.
Here at Beats Grinding Life, we want to thank you for listening to another episode. We want to know, what were your biggest takeaways from this interview? Just go to beatsgrindinglife.com and leave a comment on this episode's show notes page. Also, while you are there, go subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Just click the little button that says subscribe. If you could, please leave a rating and review. Rating and reviews are the best way to show your appreciation because it helps more people find out about the podcast. So until next week's episode, keep grinding.